Today, AMD GPUs are way cheaper than Nvidia's, Intel's 6 GHz CPU is extremely expensive, cheaper Ryzen parts, RX 7900 cards are spotted, a new RTX 4000 GPU, and RTX 4080 prices are dropping. Welcome everyone to Gamer Melt. First up for today, with GPU prices finally getting to a better place. Along with deals from Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Tom's Hardware noticed something interesting. Specifically, that AMD's RX 6000 cards are priced far better than Nvidia's RTX 30. And before I get to them, I will have a couple affiliate links to AMD's cards in the description. They won't cost you anything more, and it helps the channel out. Anyway, as the article discusses, it feels like Nvidia's pricing is stuck in early 2022. For example, there's an RX 6600 for just $210, a 6650 XT is just $249, and there's a 6750 XT for just $369. On the other hand, Nvidia's 3070 Ti is around $569, a 3050 is the same as the 6650 XT, and the 3060 is over $300. Of course, if you're big into ray tracing, Nvidia's 30 series may be worth the premium, but it definitely gets tough to suggest them, especially with their prices so much higher than AMD's equivalent card. At the end of the day, Nvidia will likely be forced to lower prices very soon. But of course, things are still much better in the GPU market now than they have been for quite some time. And while PC hardware prices are going down, there's one thing that'll never go down, and that's demand for computer engineers. So visit the place I always recommend to learn computers, which is today's sponsor, Brilliant, the ultimate learning platform for computer science. And it's not just because they were built to teach the STEM field, but because they teach you the best way, which is by getting you to actually do it yourself. And what's cool is that they do it by giving you puzzles to solve so you can learn the actual concepts, all while giving you explanations for why things are done the way they are, etc. And they have classes for everyone, whether it's beginners or even professionals. Plus, those classes were made by some of the brightest minds from Google, MIT, Microsoft, and more. But the best part is that you can try it for free when you visit brilliant.org/gamermeld. Plus, the first 200 of you who visit the link will get 20% off the annual premium. So check that out today. Next up for today, when Intel announced their 13th gen CPUs earlier this year, the company stated that a new CPU would be released next year that would break the 6 GHz barrier while stock. At the time, I assumed this new CPU would be a 13900KS model. Well, that looks to be the case, as PC Canada recently listed the CPU. What's wild is that they include the price, and if this is right, we're looking at a whopping 22% increase over the 13900K. Now, that may not seem all that bad, but given the 13900K already gets to 5.8 GHz, that's literally a 22% premium for just over a 3.4% increase in performance. I was originally thinking that the 6 GHz claim wasn't the actual frequency, that they were rounding it to 6 GHz, but that it could maybe get to 6.2 or something like that. But according to the retailer, it is in fact 6 GHz. Of course, this is a Halo product just for those to say they have the best, but 22% is still a tough pill to swallow. Next up, if you've been following the channel, you know that AMD is rumored to release new CPUs soon, specifically their cheaper non-X models. Well, it looks like that is in fact the case, as multiple European retailers have recently listed two models, the Ryzen 7 7700 and Ryzen 9 7900. Now, with that said, the clocks shown seem to be wrong, as it lists the 7700 and 7900 with the same base frequency. When it comes to pricing, according to video cards, the 7700 is set to be priced at $329 and the 7900 would be at $429. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how things go, as current Ryzen 7000 prices are way down. Then again, AMD did seem to confirm that these are not permanent. Next, AMD's RX 7900 cards are spotted, and it looks like we finally have confirmation on new Nvidia GPUs. Plus, we learn exactly what happened to Nvidia's 12GB RTX 4080. The story comes from two new official EEC filings by Gigabyte. In the first one, we see a slew of new RX 7000 cards. Specifically, we have 4 7900 XTX models and 3 7900 XT models. This of course proves that board partners are hard at work with with new RX 7900 cards, and hopefully most of those will go on sale for the release on the 13th. The second EEC filing by Gigabyte shows a brand new RTX 4000 GPU, specifically the RTX 4070 Ti. And what's interesting about this is that the model comes with 12 gigabytes of memory, and that of course reminds us of the 12 gigabyte RTX 4080. With that said, some EEC filings don't end up coming out, as AIB partners will file cards before they're finalized, but this one seems very likely. The real question I think is how much Nvidia actually plans to lower the price. With it being a 4070 Ti and not a 4070, they may lower it by just a little, and that's an issue because the 12 gigabyte 4080 was positioned to be a terrible price to performance proposition, similar to Nvidia's 16 gigabyte model. I guess all we can do is hope. And speaking of that 16GB model, if you saw my recent video, I went over a series of stories that I believed would likely force Nvidia to lower prices of their RTX 4080 cards. The main one being that their 4090 is outselling the 4080 by a whopping 3.4 to 1, proving that consumers believe the GPU simply isn't worth it at that price point. Well, it looks like that is happening, as we have our first story of the GPU actually going down in price. The story was originally reported by PC Games Hardware and later by Video Cards, where a Gainward 4080 was first priced at €1,539, but was lowered to €1,449. What's interesting is that the German MSRP for the card is €1,469, which includes the Founders Edition card, so they lowered it below the base MSRP. And for those wondering, it's that high because of the value-added tax European countries have to pay. Now, that's obviously just a €20 price cut, but given the 4080 was only recently released, it's still surprising and a very good sign. The card was being sold on the retailer alternate, and it's already back up to normal price, so it was only for a short time. But it's still a good sign of things to come, especially when AMD releases their 7900 series. As long as that does as well as we've seen, Nvidia will likely be forced to lower prices across the board. So while that does it for today, are you excited for Nvidia to lower prices, or are you just set to get AMD's RX 7900? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to try out Brilliant for free in the description below. And as always, have a great day.